Next stop, the stone park here in Dimapur. So Nagaland, there's stones with carvings on them, which shows, I don't exactly know, it's the cultural, well, I mean, it shows ultimately the cultural heritage of the people here in Nagaland. And there you can see one of those rocks with the carvings on them, and I don't fully understand what the meaning of everything is. And a hut, local hut. Verse 20, Exodus chapter 10, verse 21. Then the Lord said to Moses, stretch out your hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, a darkness to be felt. So, like in the previous subject, like 3 plagues, one he goes to, one in the vicinity of, or Pharaoh sees, but doesn't speak with him, and the third one, again, he speaks to him. Same in this chapter, first one, he goes, speak to Pharaoh, it was coming and going on. And now in this case, it's no going to Pharaoh, just doing the sign, just the plague. So God telling Moses to stretch out his hand. Now we know by now that it is the staff that needs to stretch out. So the darkness will come over all the land of Egypt. And not just any kind of darkness. It's just like it's getting dark, but such a darkness, it's like you can feel it. Right? It's like it's pressing down on you. Yeah, I don't know if I've really experienced such a kind of a darkness. It's darker than dark. It's blacker than black kind of idea. I just can't think of any example now. This is not just night. This is like really a kind of foreboding darkness. Ultimately, this is now against the sun god. You know, the sun god is going to lose out on this thing. But no mention of him being first sent to warn Pharaoh. Verse 22. So Moses stretched out his hand toward heaven, and there was pitch darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. Stretched out his hand, it became dark. Like this is now still light, okay, but even then when the sun is down, it's not going to be totally dark. Maybe it's like the kind of darkness that's like in a big city like Yangon, when all electricity is off. It's like it's not supposed how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be some kind of light, something. I mean, that's a city, and it's just this foreboding darkness. So he turned dark for 3 days, right? Does the show towards ultimately point forward to Jesus, in the grave 3 days, which he kind of wasn't in the grave for 3 days, Friday evening to Sunday morning, but you know how the Jews count days, so that is counted. But 3 days. 3 days that is going on here, that there was this pitch darkness in all the land of Egypt. Verse 23. They did not see one another, nor did anyone rise from his place for 3 days. But all the people of Israel had light where they lived. Okay, so it was so dark that people could not see each other. Right, it's like touching, like being totally blind. You could not see each other. So they didn't even get up from his place. They didn't like get up and go and make food or anything like that. I don't know why. Couldn't they make a fire and something like that? But this is something weird. It was so dark that they couldn't. They just did. They had no idea how to. They couldn't. So they were just sort of stuck. And again, 3 days without eating is one thing. 3 days without drinking is quite a different thing. But the other thing as well that we see in this verse is, although they were in such darkness, but where the people of Israel were, it was light. So, man, I can't imagine myself even here, honestly, to how this kind of situation was. Were they like the people there in Sodom and Gomorrah slain by blindness, that actually kind of the sun was shining, but they were just blinded? Now, this text doesn't state it. The text here rose up and it became dark. Because otherwise blindness is not really fighting against the sun god. That doesn't really work. That's just blindness. So it had to be a covering of the sun in their area, the area where the sun god was the god, but in the area where he wasn't the god, he was allowed to, like for the Hebrews, he was allowed to do his job there still, kind of, be light to them. Yes, you can allegorize this in the sense of Jesus is the light of the world. If you believe in him, you have light, right? Jesus said that. If you don't, you're in darkness. Now, does all of this therefore kind of point towards that? It's a little bit too allegorical for me. I don't like it that much. Symbolism pointing towards maybe later on can be used, could be understand in such a certain sense, right? That Jesus is the light of the world. Ultimately, it's not the sun that is the light of the world. In the new heaven and new earth, even before the creation, the sun was only created there on the fourth day, not on the first day. In the new heaven, new earth, there's not going to be a sun. So all these things playing out, and through all the not just the Jewish culture, up in the Egyptian culture, worshipping the sun, but the Sunday ultimately mean for crying out loud in the European groups, like we're worshipping the sun and the Sunday, right? So is this any of this really pointing towards that? Maybe, maybe not. But you know, there's always these little hints of Jesus ultimately, and sometimes very clear hint and very clear prophecy concerning the Messiah, and sometimes, but again, this might be a future. But for Moses at that stage, this would not really have played in. He would not have been seeing this kind of prophetic voice here in this happening, ultimately pointed towards Jesus. Yes, we can look back and we can maybe understand like this, but for him there and then, this is just the sun apologetic, the sun God, the God of the Egyptians, losing against the true God. Right? Again, it shows that everything belongs to God. There's one true God. So I think this is more what is at play here. So that is the first understanding. This is how the people, for apologetically, not allegorically, but for apologetics, they would have understood this as the Egyptian God losing, this very important Egyptian God, one of the highest, losing against the one true God, their Lord, Yahweh, understandably. But how it worked ultimately in the Israelite area is like, okay, so here I can see. I mean, there's a shade of the tree, right? You can see there here kind of the sun ends light. There's light, fully light on this side, and there's shade on this side. Now, I mean, I'm standing here kind of in the sun, in the shade, because it's hot and I want to be in the shade. Otherwise, I'm going to have sun stroke again, heat stroke again, and have a headache. Might anyhow have it, but that's not, again, not the point. So you can see there's this line off. Now I can still see where I am. I mean, I'm not blind here. I can still see it's not dark, pitch dark. It's not foreboding or anything like that. Now, so what was it like a line like that? It's like here in this area where I'm now standing in the shade, like dark, where you close your eyes and you can't see a thing. And then there ultimately, so if it was like that, then the people further away from the Jewish area, they would have been in full darkness. But those close to the line where the light darkness stops and the light begins, they would have still been able to see what is going on that side, and then be able to determine, but oh man, these guys have light. So it's a little bit, again, if I use the example for Yangon, when electricity goes off, our electricity is off. So in the evening when electricity is off, you go there into this insane area and it's like, man, everything is dark. It's just, it's not nice. It's like, even if it's 7 o'clock, the light is off and like, it's dark and it's foreboding, and you just, although it's, I would say, kind of still pretty safe. Especially, but if you then go from there into areas where still light, it's where you are, you can't see a thing, but in another areas where still electricity and lights are on, it's light. And so, yeah, it's most likely something like this that happened here. But again, exactly how, we don't know. And that is not so much the point. God did display, God did the sign. There's for them light, for them, and for here not. So that again, it does not prove, shows that there's this very thick cloud that was just hovering around them, and there was no, it's like this cloud at this perfect edge, kind of where the light stops and the darkness begins, or something like that. God did it. How? We don't know. Speculate, we need not. The meaning of it, that we can understand, and that's the important part.